would probably be, Jonas Brothers, Miley, Selena, and hopefully me. I 100. That's mine.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely mine. Like there's which is all the Disney stars that have,
Yep. Zendaya.
I think goes into your age group. For us, like you just can't fight Demi, Miley, Selena, Jonas Brothers.
Which Jonas Brother gets the head spot?
Oh, good question. Look, it's gonna be Joe. Like, just for the sake of the band, you gotta. I mean, he's the friend. We are on stage from those Nick, Joe, Kevin, and you put them right.
Gets in there.
And he is.
Raven Simone was. Oh my god.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. I wanted to talk about well, I finished the Perks of Being a Wallflower book. It was really good. It's really very good. I wanted to talk about connecting to characters on screen because I don't know, I guess also in Euphoria they were talking about that second episode and about the scene where Jules goes like she saw me, she really saw me, but then oh, do I not know her name? Nicole. Nicole kind of in, interpreted it as like looked at you with almost this motherly type of love and adoration. And when you put it that way, seeing someone seems a lot more plausible. And I feel like knowing someone is a different thing. That's how she described Nate. I feel like I've always wanted that. You know what I mean? I've always wanted to like feel like I know someone like really well. And connect with that. And I don't know. I also just feel like I don't know, I read The Perks of Being a Wallflower and I felt like I related a lot to Charlie, and I don't know, like like recognized myself in Charlie a lot, and I also I don't know felt a lot for Charlie. Like I left the book feeling like I wanted him to be okay. Um, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, like while you're reading the book and even watching the movie, like you're more so in the book. I feel like the book feels way more personal than the movie because A, there's like more in it, but B, like you're really positioned as who he's writing to. Like it's as if he's telling you his story, like like straight up. You know what I mean? Rather than like it's more like this framing device. The fact that he's writing letters, but in the book is literally just a bunch of letters. I mean, of course, it's like there's dialogue and stuff, and it is a novel and letters, but like it is like 50% written how you would write like a letter to someone. You know what I mean? Which is yeah, and it just makes it feel more personal. And I don't know, I guess you feel close to Charlie even though he's not even real. He feels so real and again, Stephen Chopsky I know I remember him saying that it was like a lot of it was pretty autobiographical, and I mean he made everything from like the way he describes everyone around Charlie, and like the family dynamics and like it's everything. It felt so like and also just the way he writes Charlie. Like like has he speaks like a 15-year-old. You know what I mean? He has the language of a 15-year-old. There's no like fancy schmancy words. He's not describing. He even like makes a point. It's also kind of like a little meta and like self-reflective, and he makes a point of like highlighting the words that are like fancy but like you wouldn't normally use, and it really feels like, you know. And so I say all of that to say that like if I can connect to Charlie, and if I can feel like I recognize myself in Charlie, and I can watch something like Euphoria and recognize myself in Kat and Rue and whoever, pretty much just Kat. I don't really like recognize myself in any other character. Even Kat is like only a little, but regardless, it's like, you know, there are movies that I do like Max from Ginny, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know, I feel like when I see those characters, I'm seeing where they overline with me, and I feel like I'm learning with about myself in all the ways, but I also am looking at them and feeling for them. And so I guess, okay, I'm just gonna put a pin in the whole I see myself in them part, and just say that like if I can connect to these characters, I must be able to connect to real people. Because first of all, real people wrote them. Second of all, I guess what I'm getting at is like, is it like the question is like, is it kind of the same? You know what I mean? Is it kind of the same connecting to an actual person than it is connecting to a character? I mean, of course there are like no, the characters are very like vignette type. You know what I mean? But like maybe the broad strokes of it. You know, like ultimately, a character is a representation of a person, right? So I guess I just feel almost like safer connecting with people when they can't connect with me back. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, like I feel like I have so many like comfort personalities on YouTube, and I watch so many movies specifically because of the characters, and I feel like I enjoy spending time with like voices and personalities without having to use mine or show mine. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to be like rejected. um, 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 I guess I don't really know how to get past that. I feel like I've tried. I feel like I've tried a lot. You know, a lot of putting myself out there, trying anyway, listening and talking, or you know, like telling myself good things and making lists about things I like about myself, and I don't know, just Jesus Christ, it hurts. I don't know, I watch these videos back, or I watch myself like play guitar, or I like monitor myself, and I don't know, I just look at myself, and I hate to say this, but I never see, I just wish I don't know, I don't want to admit anything that I'm currently thinking, because I don't know, if I say it, it'll make it true or something. And I don't know, sometimes I see myself as like cool and normal and nice and whatever, but oh, it always feels, I don't know, kind of for now, like, oh, right now, you know? And I mean, ultimately, like, so something I'm really realizing is like, ultimately, feeling normal and cool and stuff is like 90% just like how you dress. So, you know what I mean? It's like basically just walk it and you're it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no like, core that you need to have in order to be normal. Sometimes I think, just to be stable, and like if you're stable, then you're normal. But like, no, I feel like people who are normal, like, it's not really like a permanent thing. It's more like a state or like a period. And I've been normal in periods. I've been cool in periods. Like I can do all of that in periods, but it's not my forever, and it's not even really the periods I'm most familiar with. I'm most familiar with this vibe. Um and I don't know, I guess to me that means that like there I that is bad or something. Um Remember that day we met in December, oh baby. I will love you to the end of time. Would have been a million years. Promise you'll remember that you're mine. Baby, can you see through the tears? Loved you more enough to justify. Say you remember, oh baby, say you remember, oh baby, oh, I will love you till the end of time. Big dreams, gangster. Said you had to leave to start your life over. I was like, no, please, stay here. We don't need no money, we'll make it all work. But you had it on Sunday, said you'd come on Monday. I stayed up waiting, anticipated and chasing, but he was chasing papers, and it was the last I heard. I will love you till the end of time. Would have been a million years. I promise you'll remember that you're mine. Baby, can you see through the tears? Loved you more enough to justify. Say you remember, oh baby. Say you remember, oh baby. Oh, I will love you till the end of time. Right. So, so I don't know. I guess I just sometimes think I'm fake, which is annoying. Like I literally think everything about me is fake, which is annoying. And I think being inauthentic is like also, I think other people would also clock it and find it annoying. Um, I think what I'm really like, I don't know, maybe would I would like not have anything to kind of thing, and I would be kind of just there, and people would find it strange and unsettling. Or I would express, and I don't know, I feel like I'm not good at like expressing myself normally, you know what I mean? So I feel like people would find me off-putting or gross or um jarring or like, random in a not funny way. You know what I mean? Like I just wish I wasn't so afraid of that. But I don't know, I just can't like I don't know, I try to picture myself in the spaces that I want to be in social spaces and in these like, just really taking off in the world. And I can never seem to feel comfortable with the idea. I never imagined myself really feeling like I belong anywhere, or like I'm at home or at peace anywhere, or that like people are like accepting and welcoming of me anywhere. Even though that I have literally been like accepted and welcomed and told that I'm refreshing and lovely and comforting and all these things, but I guess I have it in my head that it's because I don't I'm not myself, because I hold back so people like this fake version of me. That's what's in my mind, I guess. But like then I also show a lot of myself to people and they're like pretty cool with it. And then also I feel like I show parts of myself that like aren't great, I guess, and people aren't always cool with it. And then I feel like I've been exposed and like the real me has fucked up, and now I'm off to run to my corner and be alone. And it's like I feel like that's what's really frustrating about me sitting here in my house all day. It's like I'm punishing myself. You know what I mean? It's like I'm putting myself on timeout because, like I and imagine I'm not there. Do you know what's crazy? Like, no why. Like, I'm doing this, and like, you can kind of see like the thing, like it's as if it's two, and that happens with your actual eyes. What's crazy is that like cameras are really just completely modeled off of a human eye. Like, I really like found out that like your eyes literally take pictures of everything around you. Like your iris is like the fucking same thing as the little black part in an actual photo, and it lets light in, and then it makes an imprint. And that's like why when you close your eyes, you can still see what you just saw because your mind is taking a photo basically of everything all the time. And then like your visual processes it, and it processes like motion and depth and stuff like that. But like, isn't that crazy? Isn't that, you know what I mean? Like, we literally reinvented our eyes so we could like capture shit more permanently, I guess. Isn't that like human? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Humans just invent shit. And it's just crazy. It's like it's wild every time we do it. And then like I now have to understand my vision through the invention that's based off of like you know what I mean? Like the concept of a camera may helps me to understand better what my eyes are doing, even though my eyes came first. You know what I mean? All of our eyes came first. Technically, cameras existed before my specific eyes, but eyes in general, existed before before cameras. Maybe it's the fact that like I am younger than cameras as a concept. That is probably why. Yeah. Anyway, I was talking about I think words maybe don't ring the same as like, actually feeling it or seeing it or something like. And to be like, I don't want to put that like on MJ or Emma or Aaron or like on anyone to make me feel, you know what I mean? And I don't know, Ariana's been my best friend for so long. And being without her these last 5 months, I recently really did realize, like, wow, I don't feel nearly as like okay in myself as I thought I did before. You know what I mean? Like before she before we stopped. Because I don't know. I guess in a way I always just kind of felt like Ariana got stuck with me or something. And to be fair, she's kind of treated me like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I've always wanted to feel like chosen. I was talking about that recently, like really picked and chosen. Um, and like I had that thing of like, oh, being chosen like second to last or whatever during games, and like, yeah, it kind of knocking my self esteem a bit. But I don't know. I guess I never really felt like Ariana was like she felt excited to be my friend. You know what I mean? I feel like when I first saw her, I'm like, oh, I want to be her friend so bad. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I guess I always, and I'm sure this is like 70 to 90% projecting, but um, it always felt like she was just okay with it, rather than like she actively wanted to be my friend back. You know what I mean? But then she also called, like, I don't know, towards I like in recent years, I feel like she's also hyped me up a lot, and she told me I look so cool and awesome and beautiful, and also that like I'm so talented and smart, and like she's hyped me up so much, and she's really like you know been so like validating and kind. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. I think maybe I didn't appreciate that enough because I remember like this was such a bitchy thing to say. Like it felt like it needed to be said, but at the same time, I felt like maybe I'm wrong and I didn't know what I was talking about, and I actually just made her feel worse, and I wasn't being appreciative of the friendship she was giving me. I told her once that like she doesn't need to kind of like listen to all of her friends so much, and like like sit through all of her friends' feelings and thing all the time. Um because and like it gets to a point, and I don't even think I said it this kindly, but like it gets to a point where like that's a choice that you're making, and that's not something your friends are like requiring you to do, or like, you know what I mean, making you do, and it's like you can't, you know, right, that's what I said, and like more specifically what I meant is like you can't like, you know, hold yourself back from doing what you actually want because of other people, or like try to make it seem like other people are like the reason that you're not doing something, because ultimately that choice is yours. Ultimately, like you're responsible for your own kind of path in life. And if you have to deviate from your friends sometimes, then do that. Then like you owe that to yourself. You can't like put other people ahead of yourself, all the time basically. And also like, you know, if you can't be there for your friends, that doesn't make you like a bad friend. Like if you have to look out for yourself, or you have, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't mean you're like failing as a friend, or you're no longer like useful to people or whatever. Or like that's not the only reason. Hey, and I need to hear that too sometimes. Like that's not the only reason people are friends with you, is because you are validating and like emotionally supportive. Like the people like you, like as a person. They like your presence and your opinions and your like energy, like it goes beyond just what you provide, you know, like just, and if you can't, like that's normal, that's human to not always be able to like show up, and people aren't gonna just like abandon you because you can't, you know what I mean? So even though I guess it kind of, you could look at it like that's what I did, but no, because A, this was like the third time it happened, and B, it was about, it wasn't just it really wasn't just about the fact that she disappeared on me. It was about the fact that like she didn't communicate and she didn't own up to it. You know what I mean? She didn't like take any responsibility for that or like our relationship. You know what I mean? Like I felt not just like, I didn't just feel withdraw, because that's okay under certain, you know what I mean, like you can withdraw when you need to, and like if you can't be there, like yeah, you can withdraw, that makes sense. It should, I think it should be generally for a good reason that you explain. You know what I mean? I think that like that is the thing. And I think she kind of had a good reason, but she didn't like explain, and it seemed like a bad reason without that explanation, because it seemed like she was just like really caught up in a relationship that she abandoned, like over like her 10-year long best friendship. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I feel like more was going on, but she didn't tell me, and then she would come around and pretend like nothing was wrong, like that she didn't just disappear on me for 10 months, that she, you know what I mean, as if she's like been here the whole time or something. Like it's almost as if she thought like I wouldn't notice or something. Absence. She's like, oh no, she won't care. So he's like, oh, she does though, and she does care. Um, so it was shitty. It was shitty. It was shitty, and I felt like I had been through her being shitty before. And again before that, so it came to a place for me where I was just like, and I mean, I don't need to justify this. I guess I just feel like I do. um, it got to a place for me where it was like, I'm not first of all, I didn't abandon her because I talked to her and I explained my feelings and I said that I needed the space. So that's not the same. That's really not the same. It's just like dipping. um, um, and yeah, it got to a point where yeah, I felt like I needed to take that space, and I'm glad I did. I am glad that I did, and I'm not sure if it was the right thing to rekindle, but we will see. We will see. Um, I was learning some piano. I gotta continue. Um, yeah, all that to say, I don't know. It's tricky with Ariana too. Like I feel like there's layers to it, and there's a side of things that I don't know, but like I don't know. I feel like one. Okay, okay, this is what I want to say, and then I'm gonna say the counter. It felt like she found being my friend like tedious or something. Like she found being my friend to be too emotionally exhausting, or like, you know what I mean? Because I don't know, I feel like, and I hate to go back to childhood, but like, you know, she would spend a lot of time with Sabrina, and like Sabrina was her only friend in that class, so that's fair. But it also felt like any time I would express, I don't know, like my and keep in mind Sabrina was my bully, so it wasn't even like, you know what I mean? like it was kind of shitty of her to pick the one person who was my bully. You know what I mean? To be friends with. So first of all, that. Second of all, I felt like anytime I expressed that, like, hey, I feel like the you've dropped off a lot in our friendship, and that's like frustrating me. I would like it would make it. I would end up feeling like I'm being like unreasonable, or like I'm expecting too much out of it. And I mean, that didn't make me feel good. That made me feel like being around me all the time, or being like my full-time friend. And I mean, not to say that like you can't be other people's friends or anything. I just This is like a problem we also had in like grade 10. I just And this is something like I've experienced with Emma and just like so many other people too, that like I don't know, even if I'm there next to you, they'll just venture out to do something on their own, and it's like, but why not include me? I would include you. Like, I would want you to come along with me wherever I'm going, especially if you're there. You know what I mean? I feel like the way I don't know. I feel like me and MJ are kind of on a similar page with that, because I feel like he's in this space and this isn't really my space, and he's like making his own connections and whatnot, but like when he can, he'll invite me along, because why not bring someone that you're like, you know what I mean, friends with along, and like why not like move forward with people that like you consider a friend and you are close to, and that like, you know what I mean, you have like a bond with, and like you feel supported by, and you know what I mean. And it's like when I don't know, when friends decide to not do that with me, it just makes me feel like an option rather than like, you know what I mean, like a package deal, if that kind of makes sense. And I mean, of course, independence is important and stuff, and I'm not trying to negate that, but like I don't know, I feel like if you're my friend, I feel a responsibility. And I don't know, I hate to say responsibility because it's like you don't want to feel responsibility over your like, you know what I mean? That if that were the case, that would make sense of why someone would feel like it's a bit of a chore to be friends with you, but like it's not even a responsibility, because responsibility implies that it's something that you feel like forced to do or something. I would want you know what I mean? I would want to like join my friends, or you know what I mean, or try something new with my friend, especially if I know they like it or something. You know what I mean? Like I think I would want that, and I just feel like, you know, whenever I made new friends in grade 9, I'd always invite Ariana, and she would come sometimes if she wanted to, opt if sometimes if she didn't. That seemed fine with me. When she made new friends, she never did the same. Like, I would eat lunch alone while she would, like, go to the food court with, like, her, and you know what I mean? And I feel like that's the kind of shit, you know what I mean? And I feel like what happened this past year isn't the same, but, like, it does bring up the same feelings, you know what I mean? And I've gone through this before, and like it's a kind of exhausting to go through this again, especially when this video is supposed to be about something else. But when that is the way you're treated, it makes you feel like all the things that you feel like repel people from you are true. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like it make like, you know, me worrying that I'm like too much, or I'm too, I don't know, like off-putting or uninteresting or something like that must be true if like someone who I've literally put so much of my like I've done my best for. I've done I've been honest, I've been open, I've been authentic, I've been funny, I've been like my best self, my worst self. I've been there for, what I mean, I've like complimented and I've supported and I've shown up. And I've just been as like open and genuine as I could. And like, yeah, maybe I haven't been perfect. Like I know once like she's given me notes and I recognize it and I want to do things better. I've always been open to notes and I've always encouraged like communication and like being improving in whatever way I can. Like I feel like when you're that like forward and open about like a relationship, it stings. It really sucks when it feels like I guess it's not enough. And that is kind of what I said to her. And then I remember saying, wanting to correct and be like, "Hey, I do feel like I was projecting a bit, and like I'm sorry for that. Like, you shouldn't kind of hold that responsibility for others, but like at the same time, like that responsibility though of like my past feelings, I'm sure it is there. But like, yeah, I felt like you know what I mean? I felt like I've tried and I wanted to be, and I don't know if I wasn't coming at it the right way or what, but it just never seemed like, you know, she felt about me the way that like MJ has been recently. You know what I mean? Cause it's like, of course it's a bit exhausting to kind of be that person for someone. And she was that person for me, but I wanted to be that person back for her, but it's as if she never like saw me that way or trusted me enough for that or something. I felt like she was never fully open and like she never like fully showed up to our friendship sometimes the way like I would, and it frustrated me because I felt like I was doing everything I could and I didn't know why she wouldn't. And I started to feel towards the end towards like the later half of our friendship that like maybe we're not as compatible as we thought we were, and like we seemed like we were better friends when we were kids, but we grew up and we realized we're actually like pretty different, and we are pretty different, and maybe we were just kind of growing apart a bit. Like these were all concerns I was having, and then like was trying to communicate that to her and talk to her about that towards like my birthday last year and like the beginning of last year, and I was communicating that, and she heard that and she felt sad because she didn't see it, and she was like, "No, I think our friendship's great," and that frustrated me because I'm like, "Okay, great," and like even if you disagree, it's like, "Hello, why don't you wonder like what could she be talking about? Like why don't you?" And I get that it's hard to hear criticism and to hear that you're doing things wrong, and she's like told me that that's been hard for her to hear as well, but like especially for something as like to me real as what our friendship was, you should want that. Like you should want to go through something hard for something real. You know what I mean? Like I think sometimes like with my family, I feel like I had to put myself in difficult positions a lot of the time to receive, you know, like something that wasn't real basically. Or like you know what I mean, something that like um wasn't, I don't want to say worth it, but like basically. But this relationship, I feel like it is, and like it's hard to hear that. Like I can be like jealous and a little selfish. Not even selfish. I can be like I can be this like person that isn't great, and it doesn't make me feel better. But like I know that like within this relationship, but I am seen as a good person and she knows my heart, and like she wouldn't be telling me these things to make me feel bad about myself. She would be telling me these things so that I can be better, so that this can improve. And so that is my mindset when I hear there's something wrong in the relationship. Like yeah, I also feel the sting, but then I'm like that though is squarely where these opinions go. And I feel like I don't know, I feel like sometimes when I mean, and to be fair, I did criticize a lot, I guess, and that must, like, that must make you feel bad, but I also feel like she was never actually receptive to what I was saying. It's not, and I wasn't just like belittling her, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I was like just being just like this, being very clear about like you know what I mean? About like, and I get that that's hard, but it's like, at that point we're 20. You know what I mean? It's like it's one thing like to hear it to struggle with that when you're a kid, but at this point like you got to be mature enough to kind of like take it like a champ, you know what I mean? And you have to understand that like I wouldn't be trying to like make you feel like a bad person just for the hell of it. Like you have to understand that like I see your heart. I know you have a good heart. Like I see you as a person and I know that you're a good person and like I wouldn't be like saying this to make you feel like that's not true. You know what I mean? I'd be like, right? Anyway, so towards the end of last year, I was trying to kind of communicate how I was feeling about like, oh yeah, maybe we're growing apart, maybe whatever. Maybe like we're maybe better off as not friends. And that's the way I was feeling. And I was like and I said a good amount of that on my birthday and she heard that and then did she pulled and then the following 9 months ensued. So much happened that like she found out about 2 3 weeks later, a month later. You know what I mean? That was my first year living alone, dude, in my own apartment. She was never here. She didn't help me like, you know what I mean, like decorate or anything. She like slept over twice in the very beginning before everything went down and like, you know what I mean? Like she was just gone the whole year. Everything with my mom happened. She was like, it was as if it was an afterthought to her. Like she went through my phone every time we were together. Sh we would only talk about her like boy troubles and stuff. And like I also just it was like lunch but like 10 times worse cuz she just actually would not spend any time with me. She would flake on plans that she made. She would like never communicate them. She would just kind of like she would say she'd come through and then didn't like, and it's like at that, so then by the end I'm like I don't even know what relationship we have anymore. Like I don't even, you know what I mean? I'm like I said okay, I need space. Like okay, like I don't even feel like I'm asking for much at this point because we barely see each other anyway. You know what I mean? I'm like okay, I don't want to be like friends. Like this is ridiculous. Like we're not even friends. So yeah, and I mean all that is to say, like, I told her that I felt like I wasn't enough for her. And I guess it's not about me. It's not about me. But I guess like I just wanted our friendship and our relationship to be, I don't know. I guess bigger than what it was. And I thought it was. I thought but I don't know. I was like, you know what I mean? I thought I was like her sister and that like she would call me if she needed me and that she would show up and that and she just didn't do either. I think that's like really what it comes down to is that like when she needed someone, she didn't turn to me. And when I needed someone, she wasn't there. So like what the fuck? You know, like and it's this is someone I called my best friend. This is someone I thought was my best friend, like my sister essentially. Like this is someone I have poured years and years and years into. This is a relationship I've spent years of my life building. How? How am I not the one she turns to? How do I look and she's not there? Like I don't know. So this is why I'm saying I'm not. It's not like I don't know what else I can do to make that the kind of relationship that we have. Um, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't know what I didn't do or what. Like, and it's like I don't know. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's more like it's not that I'm not enough, but like I don't know. She's going through something that doesn't like let her see what I'm like offering or something. Like I don't know exactly, but I don't know. I guess that's my thing though. At the end of the day, right? Like that's not really. She's not really thinking about like, oh, I need to make sure today feels like she's enough for me or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that's not her concern. She doesn't even. I don't even think it would come to her mind that that is something that I have a sore spot around. I don't think any that would come to anyone's mind because that's my shit. You know what I mean? So, and also like if she's going through something, you know, what I'm feeling, how it affects me isn't necessarily, you know, the first thing that's gonna be on your mind, and that's fair. I feel like that happened with me and Quinn as well, and you know, we learn the hard way, I guess. Sometimes, so I was just like two in my head and mind and everything. Mm. But yeah, I mean, all that to say that show me how you can. That it's easy to think that like, you know, because of how messy relationships and social dynamics can be, that like you are doing something to cause them to be like that, or you know everything you're afraid of is the reason that you know people are shitty to you, or you know things don't work out the way you want them to. But a lot of the time people are just lashing out, or they're not in a good space, or they just don't work out. You know what I mean? It doesn't really have to do with you. And like even if people decided that you're not their cup of tea, that doesn't mean that you know you're bad. It's very much that TikTok of the girl talking about like how she made the smoothie that she like and she invited someone else to try it and they didn't like it. And it's like that's okay. I like it. I like this smoothie. And this smoothie's like for me. And that's okay that you don't like it because I like this smoothie and someone else will like this smoothie. So that is all that really matters. And that is all that really matters. And I think it really is a thing with me that I just really need to like stop defining how good my smoothie is based on how much other people like it. But I guess it's as if like I don't even really feel like I have tasted my own or I know my own taste that well because I really do feel all the time that like what I like is what other people like. You know what I mean? Like I don't even cuz like isn't that even just true? Like I feel like we're all kind of formed from other people. Like I feel like half of everything I know about like hierarchy and shit was just stupid drama from high school. You know what I mean? Like I feel like my understanding of I guess that's up to you then to kind of like read and go be socialized and like learn other things to kind of average out stuff and also like refine your own taste and like really put your intuition to the test and stuff to like learn that find out who you are. But yeah, I guess maybe I'm just too sure that I suck or something to like go try it out. And I don't know, I guess I'm just like so confident I'm gonna fall flat on my face, even though I've shown to myself so many times that like, hey, I actually fly. I actually excel most of the time when I put myself out there. So I guess it's I was saying that like it's a lot of just learning to enjoy my own smoothie rather than to base it on other people. But I think it's also a lot of just like tolerating a bitter taste. You know what I mean? I think sometimes you do something embarrassing, or sometimes people reject you and it stings. It sucks, but that doesn't mean you should stop, you know, sharing yourself with others. And I mean, it makes sense as to why you don't want to because people in the past have tried your smoothie and it's been bitter and you've tried your smoothie and it's been bitter and like why would you want to risk someone else trying your smoothie and hating it? Like why would you want to just put yourself through that for no reason? But I mean it is for a reason because you actually don't know if it is an if for a reason. Like they could really like your smoothie and like that could lead to who knows where. That could be your ticket to the dream life, you know what I mean? And like that is why you're doing it cuz it's worth the risk cuz life is worth the risk, you know? I guess it feels hard sometimes to really believe that when like, I got my crib and I got my TV and I got my cookie dough and I got my camera, you know what I mean? Like I got, you know what I mean? I got fictional characters to connect with. Why do I need real people? But it's not enough for me, and I know that, and I know that I'm not only do I crave more and I yearn for more, but I'm meant for more. Like I know this. I know this. I don't know, I guess it's hard to like believe in myself, I guess. And to just like myself, honestly, like I was saying before, and I didn't want to finish the sentence, but like, yeah, I do find it hard to like look in the mirror and like see someone that I feel like is worth like getting to know or like worth having around or you know what I mean or like worth kind of not even pedestaling but like admiring or you know what I mean. And I don't really know why. Like I feel like I go through the list. I'm like, oh, maybe I have like internalized racism. You know what I mean? Maybe like I feel like oh, I'm not like this Britney Spears, like perfect, like, you know what I mean, talented, skinny, like blonde, like girl. So therefore, you know what I mean? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know the verdict on that one. I don't think so. I don't think so. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like race is a really complicated thing for me. Sometimes I think, okay, maybe it's like I'm not chill. I'm very unchill. I'm very awkward and weird, and I like have so many like strange emotional reactions to things, and like I don't know, I like or whatever. And I'm like, well, who would want that? Who would want that? Who would want like that? That's so unchill. Like who, and I mean, sure, yeah, yeah. I think that is the big one. I do feel really afraid that people will think I'm weird when I meet them. Um, but I don't know. I think I've found a lot of people who like my freak, and I don't know. I don't think I'm that freaky. Like I've watched videos of myself. I am pretty normal. You know what I mean? Like I don't like I think my freak is like a tasteful flavor. You know what I mean? It's not really overwhelming. It's a very tasteful amount in the dish of my personality, I believe. So I don't even, you know what I mean? I don't even know what the problem is there. Like I feel like let my freak fly. My freak is very welcome in many places, and if people don't like my freak, well then fuck them. Okay, my smoothie is very yummy. My level of freak. I've tried it. Other people have tried it. Like it works. It works. I should really. I don't know why it's like such a thing for me. Why I find it. Why I'm like so petrified of people tasting my freak and hating it. It's like okay, I'm so sorry you don't like it, and bye. You know what I mean? There's 8 billion people on the planet. Like, I can find connection in other places. I can find solace and home and belonging in so many other places. I don't need to, like, win over the approval of people who, like, aren't my match. And I feel like that probably comes from my family because my family is so like normie. You know what I mean? And I mean they're not even they're like charismatic and they're kind of funk like you know what I mean? They have their own quirks and shit. And I mean we're all kind of like ADHD and like strange like that, but no, they're pretty normie. You know what I mean? Like they're pretty like don't get piercings and don't be too liberal and don't like draw too much attention to yourself and like be traditional. And you know what I mean? They're very like so, so yeah, I don't relate to that. And I feel like that's been a problem. And I've also, every time I've been like outspoken or, I've like shown a color that they didn't like, they've been very like rejecting of it. You know what I mean? And so I feel like I've just tried so hard to fit in with my family my whole life. Or just even like get to a balance that works. And I feel like I continue that. You know what I mean? Like I try to be as myself as I can, but then I also try and like fit this balance of normal that like would work. But the thing is, I feel like my family didn't really give me the most like healthy example of normal. You know what I mean? I feel like they gave me this example of normal that's very like repressive and like hide and like you know what I mean? And I feel like there is like a bar of like, okay, in these cases you can kind of like hold back or whatever, but that is more like selectively being yourself rather than like you know what I mean. Yeah, I feel like there's like a more sensical or like I don't know constructive way to like be normal or like hold back or like to show up at a bit of a mid authenticity state in public and in social circles and like you know to let intimacy be gradual and stuff like that. So like what else I think honestly that's the main thing. Being black and weird, I'm like it's also like those things don't go together sometimes. I'm like, no, if I'm black I have to be cool. Like that's crazy that I'm black and weird or black and lame. Like that no, like I have to like have cool taste in music and be really good at dancing and like have like this baddie energy because it's like I can't be like hot and black and then lame. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm doing black girl. Mm, it's like I can't be black and weird and I can't be weird and black. You know what I mean? Because being weird and black makes being weird worse, which feels like internalized racism. But like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's kind of like that photo of like the black woman who's a minority and in a wheelchair and like has you know what I mean? It's like you can have a quirk, but if you have like a minority on top of that, that just makes it worse somehow. You know what I mean? That just makes you stick out more. That just makes you more like alienable, I guess. You know. Anyway. Hello, Lord, I'm on my own. But and then I get so frustrated, and I get so this is a part of like the complicated relationship with the race. I get so frustrated though that like that is a thing that I even have to think about. Like, what do you mean that the standard is so based around like a cis straight white man that like I feel like my strangeness in my art, like if I was in Charlie's position as a black woman in the '90s, dude, I feel like like you know what I mean? Like I feel like I don't know. I feel like Charlie lacks a certain awareness, as most white men do. Even though he's so observant and perceptive and like mindful of the people around him, but like he's 15. Like I'm not blaming him. Like he can't help everything, but like it's an awareness that you don't need to have. You know what I mean? Like of course he doesn't have it. Why would he? Like you know what I mean? And I feel like I find that so frustrating. I get so angry at that fact. I'm like I get so frustrated with the fact that like white people don't feel like pushed into like identity politics. You know what I mean? Nearly as much as like minorities do because they are the standard, so they get to just kind of operate in a world where it's not even it doesn't even play a factor most of the time. You know what I mean? It's not even like it's not like so you know what I mean? And they can just kind of like experience everything at this like normal kind of baseline because like their race isn't coming into it at all. You know what I mean? Like to me I find that so frustrating and then it's like if I acknowledge it, then it feels like I'm the one bringing race into it. When like no, it's this fucking like exclusion marginalizing fucking system that is like making this a thing and like making it so that me and other people that look like me are the only ones who actually feel it. You know what I mean? So then it's like here you are suffering in silence. Then if you bring it up, you're radical or something. You're it's like it's such a mess. I hate it so much. And it's so hard to articulate as well. Like I feel like I just articulated it kind of poorly. Like anyway, and it's also something I'm always curious about when I see like other kind of like black people doing well or like kind of propelling in spaces, like how they navigate that. And I feel like it's so interesting for me to like watch different black people that navigate that. Like I find my sister to be an interesting case, most of my family to be kind of interesting. Um, I look at like Zendaya and Caleb McLaughlin and Michael B. Jordan and all these celebrities and just seeing how they move in their spaces. And I'm like, wow, this is, all the new friends that I'm making. I feel like I also don't have enough black friends or black people around me. So I feel like that can, it was, yeah, anyway, that's a whole other discussion. So we'll move on. Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, okay, if I wasn't black and I wasn't, like, strange, would I feel more acceptable in the world. I think I would also feel like a bad person. I think that's another. I would also be like another thing that like I get nervous about whenever I come to meet someone new is like you don't know my history, you don't know all the bad things I've done, you don't know that like this really nice, sweet, polite person that I'm like showing you right now is not always what I'm like, and I can be judgy and rude, and I can be inconsiderate and not reckless for sure, but what's the word I'm looking for? Like careless. I can be so careless, and I don't even like see it half the time. I can be so oblivious. Like it's like, yeah, no, and then I can hurt people. I have hurt people before, and I'm also like riddled with guilt all the time, so that's kind of annoying. To just like constantly be like, no, you're fine, you're not. And then like for me to then turn around and do something mean when like you've had to assure me the whole friendship that I'm a good person, like it's just such an annoying dynamic. I feel like that like I have to that like people are subjected to if they choose to be friends with me. But yeah, so that's another thing, I guess. Okay, so if I was not black, like a genuinely good person like all the time and also not ever that weird. Like me, like I'm really trying to imagine like me with no racial barrier, with no weirdness, with no like immorality. Yeah, I would feel pretty good about who I am, but I would still probably take qualm with like what I do because I feel like I I was just saying how much I want to make more of myself, and I don't really. But I also feel like that wouldn't be an issue for me if I felt good about myself. You know what I mean? I feel like if I felt like I belonged in spaces, I would go to spaces. You know what I mean? I feel like if I felt, I don't know, like a genuinely good person, I would not feel like, I was careless and like I couldn't handle more responsibility. You know what I mean? Like I feel like, yeah, you know what I mean? I also feel so much pressure as a black person. Like being black just puts like way more pressure on all of it to like I feel like a kind of mediocre person right now, and it's like worse because I'm black because it's you know what I mean, because I almost feel like you're expected to kind of coast by as a white person, but like when you're black, I'm like my parents fucking like did ever like in an immigrant and like all these other kind of intersections. It's like as a woman too and everything, like, so much had to happen for me to be here, and it's like so horrible that I'm not stepping up to the plate. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so to say, I think that's it, basically. I think it's just those three things that kind of affect how I show up, if I show up, you know? And I wish I didn't. I also want to add in, like, in asterisks. Is asterisks? No. In parentheses, like mentally, I don't want to say ill because I don't have mental illnesses. I think I have more like disorders, one or two. Anxiety, a little bit of depression, probable ADHD and autism. It is what it is. I just want to add that in though to the weird part. You know what I mean? Because that also affects how I show up. I mean, being the weirdness though is more about how I'm perceived, but it is also about how I am. And I think I get frustrated that like I can't just be chill or I can't just be normal, and I get frustrated about how much of how I show up doesn't feel like is in my control all the time, and I get really frustrated that I can't always discern the line because then I feel frustrated and I judge myself for like evading responsibility over my own life, but then I also feel like I'm too hard on myself for, not being able to handle the like big pressures in my life. Like I was just talking about the year I've had. Like, hey, yeah, living alone, helping a sick parent, having a best friend abandon you, those things are hard. You know what I mean? And those things, that's a lot to like deal with. And like, you know, I don't know, I almost, I like behave as though I'm doing the worst I can given the situation, and like the reality is I'm not even taking the situation into account, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like and like the ultimate reality is that I'm not doing the worst I can given the situation. I'm not doing the best, I don't think, either, but I would say I'm like above average. I think I'm you know what I mean? I think I'm like managing. I am managing, and I think that deserves like acknowledgement and not celebration necessarily, but like how can you kind of build if you don't even acknowledge what you have built? You know what I mean? How can you build higher if you perceiving yourself on level on the ground floor when you're not on the ground floor? You're actually I have grown this year. I have put in work this year. I have built myself up this year. And like, yeah, it's not great that my sleep schedule is so fucked. And I mean, like sleeves of cookie dough every week, and like I'm, you know what I mean, and I'm like was jobless and living alone and like I have no money. Like, yeah, that's not, none of that is great. Hey, I get that. None of that is great, and I am working on that, and I do want I do want to remedy that. But that doesn't like negate, that I'm hauling ass to Hamilton every week to get my driver's license because I'm private, like, you know what I mean, or that I like show up to my family every night, if not every other night, you know what I mean, because I'm prioritizing space and time with them. That I still have my Duolingo streak, okay? That I am actually spending like 5 minutes learning Portuguese every day. You know what I mean? That uh, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, I burn hours on YouTube, and that sucks. But then I learn a song on a guitar, and I make a painting, and you know what I mean? And I like do my best to kind of remedy that. And I'm not like doing it. I'm not okay. Oof. You know what I mean? I almost act like